What's up, guys? I am back to celebrate Self Love September with you with a brand new episode for all the singles out there. Are you exhausted, truly exhausted by the dating scene right now? If you are, get in here because today we are going to be talking about giving you a break and taking a dating intermission. All right, so let's get into it. The dating scene can be brutal. You're out there hoping that you'll find the right guy to spend some of your quality time with. And it can be daunting because there's so many people out there posing. If we're keeping it 100, they are misrepresenting themselves, whether you're dating someone online or maybe you've been introduced to someone and everything was all good for the first couple of dates and then you found out who he really was. That's what I'm talking about and why we might need to take a step back and say, you know what? I need some time off. I need some time off. I'm not really looking right now. So that's what we're talking about today. So let's talk about some of the guys that we might encounter on the dating scene. I feel like I've dated like every type. Of course, so you guys don't have to and we can talk about it. I'm sure you've dated some of them as well. Let's get into these characters that we're coming across. Okay, first, the nice guy. If ever there was a case for a redo and a spin the block, it would be for the nice guy. I say this from experience. I think some of the nice guys I've met in the past, I wasn't ready to date at that particular time, but now I might consider it. Next up, the player. You know that guy. You just had to have him, didn't you? He was everything you wanted and more. The thing is, he had a dozen other girls that he was not only dating, but actually showering with all the charismatic one-liners that drew you in the first place. Yeah, that guy. We've all dated one, haven't we? Okay, then what about the user? We love to help them, don't we? We love to help them be all they can be. And the problem is with a user, it's almost never reciprocated because they're using you. Okay, so then we have the guy that you're better as friends with. He's perfect for somebody. He's perfect for somebody, just not you. And you don't even know why. You don't know if it's the vibe, the chemistry, the whatever. You're just like, he's amazing. I can't. He's not for me. Next up, we have the catch. These are the guys that actually have a really solid value system and they're everything that you would want in a partner, but you may not have realized it till later. And guess what? There's a line of women that are waiting to date them. And, someone's going to be the lucky girl, but it may not be you. We've had one of those, right? And you're like, wow. He's the one that got away for sure. And lastly, I do want to mention the clinger. Oh, the you're my everything guy, the guy that really, 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 really pours his heart and soul into you to the point where you feel suffocated. And, in good conscience, you can't even move forward with the relationship because it's just way too overwhelming. How many of you have dated that guy? That never worked for me. But those are just some of the examples of guys that we're coming across in a dating scene. And we're putting ourselves out there, aren't we? We show up, we dress up, we connect, or we try to anyway. And we might get any one of these characters. But, to get out there and to put yourself out there when we're all so busy and our time is so valuable, I really think you have to be up for it. You have to be into it. You have to have time for it because it's so exhausting, right? And you may actually arrive at the place in your life where you're a little burnt out on the dating scene. And from what I'm hearing from many Gen Zs is that they're too busy to even think about it. I know for sure many of us, including myself that tried online dating at one time, are just over online dating because there are so many people that are just posing. They're pretending to be someone they're not. And you're investing all this time to try to get to know them. And it's not even worth it because you realize that maybe one, they live too far and they're just dating like way out of their geographical location. And we all know how that ends up, right? When you're dating long distance, every date is a first date. Unless you're seeing somebody on a regular basis, it's like you're starting all over again. And how well can you really get to know someone? So my question is, are we done dating for now? And for how long? And this is not everybody. There are plenty of people that are going strong in dating, but there is a strong group because I'm hearing it from so many people that are really feeling like they just want to chill right now and not even get involved in a new relationship if they're single. And I am here to tell you all that it is totally okay. It's totally okay. You don't have to date all year round. You don't have to date for a year. You don't have to date for 5 years. You can date when you feel like it. I am going to make the case today for a dating intermission and why it's important. All right. So, one of the best things about taking a dating intermission is that it gives you the space and peace of mind when you need it or even want it to figure out your life independent of a plus one. In order to do some things in life, like really do some strong work on yourself and self love, all that stuff, and be truly dedicated to it, you actually have to do that work independently of your relationship. Sure, you can be in a relationship and still do the work, but you can do some serious work when you're not dating and it's just you. When you're just living in your truth, there are no demands placed on you from a relationship perspective. It's a beautiful thing, I promise you. So I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you might consider a dating intermission. Number 1, because you're hyper focused on outcomes. So for women, we do become focused on outcomes depending upon what we're looking for in life. And time constraints play into that. If we want to get married, if we want to have kids, whatever, we don't want to waste a lot of time on the wrong person. So because of this, we become hyper focused on outcomes sometimes, and it interferes with the natural pace of the dating process because we're worrying, right? We're worrying that we're investing time and we're not going to see anything on the other side. We're never going to be able to achieve that dream if it's your dream of having a family and having kids. And you know off the top that if you want to have kids, there's a certain frame of time that you have to do it in. And all these things are running through our heads as women. And we have to kind of like hang out for a while and, assess the situation. Will he be the one that proposes or won't he? We're watching for signals from him. We're looking at the signaling. Like, are we going to the jewelry store? We're analyzing the relationship over and over and over again. That's what I mean by being hyper focused on outcomes. We're also considering the fact that many of our friends at the very same time, if you're in your late 20s or early 30s, are getting married. And we have to think about, okay, are we looking to achieve a serious relationship just for achievement's sake and checking the box? So that can be a big deal too. In the same vein, you could be focusing on those very same outcomes just to check the box. So you're flooding the dating apps, you've signed up for more than 2 or 3, and you're running across all these posers, people misrepresenting themselves, and it can be very frustrating. So that's one reason why you might consider a dating intermission, because you've become so hyper focused on outcomes. You are really losing focus on what's important and finding that quality person. The second thing is the pursuit of a relationship is really affecting your joy. I mean, you've been through the paces with some of these guys and you haven't met someone that you're really clicking with and you're just getting down and you're just not feeling good about yourself. Is something wrong with me? When you know there's nothing wrong with you, but you're not getting the results that you're looking for, and you feel like you're hitting a brick wall from a dating perspective. That's a really strong reason to take a step back and say, you know what, I'm gonna take a break and see if I can meet some people organically or maybe not, and revisit this at a later time. Because right now, this isn't working. And I'm not even in the right frame of mind to meet someone because I'm so jaded by the whole scene. Okay, so the third one, and this is huge, 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 ladies. The third one is super, super, super important. And this is for all of the singles that have absolutely no gaps in their dating history. I'm not talking about you were married. I'm just talking about you have dated from one relationship to the other, and you have no gaps. You go from one to the other. The reason you should definitely consider a dating intermission if you've had no gaps in your dating history is because you've never really had any alone time to just be. You've gone from one relationship to the next with no time for focus on just you. And you learn so much about yourself when you're just existing in that space space and learning and growing, you learn so much about yourself in between relationships when you just allow yourself to debrief, think about what happened in your last relationship, what would you do differently. That is like, to me, there's like no substitute for that time where you can regroup, take a breath, refocus on your boundaries. And that is why it works. And that's okay. So why does a dating intermission work? A dating intermission works because it's a great time to refocus on you. You can take some time for yourself without losing anything, because what is meant for you will find you. When you try too hard for anything, and you guys know this is true, when you try so hard and force things that aren't meant to be yet, it just ends up being a big mess. So everything in its own time. You can take some time out. You don't have to put yourself through the relationship or online dating gauntlet just because. So take that time out, stand in your strength, and be authentic to yourself if you need a break. So on that note, if you need a dating intermission, now is the time. Dive in and take that journey, because it is totally worth it. And I promise you, the dating scene will be waiting for you on the other side, same as always. Here are 3 empowerment moves for you. Number 1, ask yourself, are you happy with your status quo? Because if you're not, then you need to make a change. Whether it be you're not happy in your current relationship and you need to make a break from that, or you've been on the dating apps for 7 months and you haven't found anything but frustration. If you're not happy with that status quo, make a change. Number 2, find your passion. This is the perfect time to pour into yourself. And number 3, remember, at the end of the day, it all starts with you. Love yourself unconditionally, and the right person will come along when it's time. You have to believe it, you have to live it, and you have to be it. And on that note, we are going to get into, girl, it's time to leave. Girl, it's time to leave if you are just hanging out in that relationship because you are afraid to leave. Let me tell you something. One thing I know for sure is that fear is your biggest enemy. Fear keeps you small. Fear keeps you stuck. Step out on faith and hit the door. Don't forget your keys, because girl, it's been time to leave. All right, guys, meet me right back here next week. And don't forget to hit that follow button and leave a review. And tell all your friends, because the single girls just got the mic.